Greetings and welcome to week 6. We're almost there. I'm your instructor, Dr. Patrice Carter, and we are teaching this week or coming this week together out of chapter 11 of our text, Crafting and Executing Strategy, and we're discussing managing internal operations. So I'm only going to hit on one concept that is key for you this week, but I encourage you and, of course, advise you to read the entire chapter because you will need that to complete your week 6 assignments, which are your tests, your discussion board, your assignments, and your self-assessment. So I'm going to teach from the standpoint of the Six Sigma quality program and just sort of give you a little bit of background. So excuse my looking down because I will be looking at the text. But again, we're talking about managing our internal operations, and that means that we're talking about actions that promote good strategy execution, because again, this whole course is about strategy and executing a strategy that is widely applicable throughout the corporation, but also that is sustainable and is successful. So what we should leave this chapter with, chapter 11, we should leave with the following objectives understood. And that is why resource allocation should always be based on strategic priorities, how well-designed policies and procedures can facilitate good strategy execution, also how best practices and process management tools drive the continuous improvement process and performance of value chain activities and lead to a promotion of great strategic execution. And then also the roles of information operating systems in enabling company personnel to carry these roles out proficiently. And lastly, how and why the use of well-designed incentives and rewards can be management's single most powerful tool for promoting adept strategy execution. Because what we talked about in a previous chapter was that when an organization or leaders began to go about the process of putting a strategic plan in place or a specific operation of that in place, it's critical to get buy-in from everyone in the company, to include internal customers and external customers and suppliers and the board of directors. So we talked about that. And so that leads me to our quote today, which is coming from Malcolm Forbes, who is the late publisher of Forbes magazine. And he stated that pay your people the least possible and you'll get the same from them. So what I take from that is if companies only focus on paying their employees the least amount possible, then they're going to get the least amount of work possible from that person or that employee, because people are incentivized by being paid well for the work they do. So again, just keeping in mind that we are going to discuss the Six Sigma process, because you'll need that as you complete your assignment for this week. But just to give you some background, we're going to turn over to page 323, because we're talking about the total quality management process and continuous quality improvement. And those are not new concepts. These are foundational concepts for anyone that seeks to understand or wants to study business administration, business management, strategic management just being one component of the broad business administration spectrum. So when you think about these TQM, Six Sigma, CQI, continuous quality improvement, TQM being total quality management, these are tools and programs, powerful management tools that promote organizational and operational excellence and better strategy execution. And they have to do with making sure that as you're going forward in your internal operations, that you have strategies that are tied to cost reduction, defect-free manufacturing, superior product quality, and also superior customer service and total customer satisfaction. And so if you follow these concepts, TQM, Six Sigma, CQI, or even business process reengineering is mentioned, then you should have a company that is really that is going along well. It is like a well-oiled machine, if you will, and you should see those outcomes in your strategy execution in a way that is desirable. So I'm on page 322, and just sharing some of those. So I'm just going to give you some definitions of the programs that I just mentioned that are tools for promoting operational excellence. The first being business process engineering. So you can follow me on page 323. And so that BPR, if you will, involves radically redesigning and streamlining how an activity is performed with the intent of achieving quantum improvements in performance. So when you think about quantum improvements, that is quick acceleration, that is fast, hard, forced acceleration in a way that is very dynamic in a great way to the organization. Next, TQM, which is again widely known throughout the business administration world as a concept, quality related concept, stands for total quality management. And that entails creating a total quality culture involving managers and employees at all levels, bent on continuously improving the performance of every value chain activity. So it has to do with the facet of putting something in place, coming back, reevaluating it from a quality measurement standpoint, and then continuously working to improve that. And then it happens at every level. So that means that there's agreement also throughout the organization about what's important and what quality measurements we're going for. Next is Six Sigma. And Six Sigma is another way to drive continuous improvement within an organization as it relates to quality and strategy execution. And so the approach, it says, entails the use of advanced statistical methods to identify and remove any causes of defects or errors and undesirable variability in performing an activity or business process. And so just note that when performance of an activity or process reaches the Six Sigma quality, there are no more than 3.4 defects per million iterations. So this is just a well-honed, almost perfected process, and it equals to 99.9997% accuracy. Okay, so we again want to give you the working definition for the Six Sigma process, and it has an acronym associated with it called DMAIC, which is DMAIC, and that stands for, the D stands for to define, then we have M, which is to measure, A is to analyze, I is to improve, and C is to control. Okay, so then the book will break those down for you as you read into the chapter. You'll learn those. But again, remembering that Six Sigma is defined as a program that utilizes advanced statistical methods to improve quality by reducing defects and variability in the performance of business processes. So when you want to reduce variability, that means that everything should be consistent. It's consistent, it's quick, it's efficient, it's fast. And that is the purpose of identifying that. So we will wrap there as it relates to chapter 11, because that is the main concept, or those are the main foundational concepts that I wanted to share with you, which were business process reengineering, total quality management, and Six Sigma processes as a form of CQI, which is continual quality improvement. So I hope that you've enjoyed this chapter. Again, I want to remind you that if you have any questions, you can reach out to me at carterp@campbell.edu. I'll be glad to help, and I will see you next week. Have a good one.